Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. This is for entertainment purposes only, so if you're entertained, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. So today I'd like to talk about BITK because I need to come back here and record the distribution so that it's properly in YieldMight. So what is BITK? It is the Tuttle Capital's zero data expiration cover call ETF. And what they do is they sell cover calls with zero data expiration. They use synthetic exposure to IBIT. And my biggest question with this is if you look at IBIT, then this is the options chain. They don't have, it's not like with, let's go to the SPY, right? Which is what a lot of zero data expirations, they do it on QQQ or the SPY or the Russell 2000. But here, it does zero data expiration, but it has an option chain for every day. So the implication here is that it's zero data expiration and they're going to do cover calls every day. IBIT, they don't have daily cover calls. I don't think they're actually trading every day. Maybe they're just trading on Fridays, but they declare on Thursdays. So far, they've had a 36.65% distribution rate, and their holdings so far, I have missed a few of them, but I will go through and put these into YieldMight probably this weekend. So I went through and I was looking at their prospectus, as one does, and I really like that their main objectives are to seek current income and then provide capital appreciation. And the environment it has been in so far, we've recently had a healthy pullback in Bitcoin, so this is a good time for us to see how it will perform in not ideal conditions, which is informative. But the principal investing strategies is that they will invest 80% into the synthetic cover call strategy, and they will do 0 DTE, but they can do 1 data E or data expiration or 2 data expiration, depending on the liquidity in the market. So we could get additional days of trading if they feel like it's advantageous for us to do that. So I think it's interesting in the fact that it declares on Thursday. So here we are on YieldMight.com. I created this website and then I just filtered on crypto related. And so on Thursdays, if you want to get crypto exposure every day of the week and get paid every day of the week, your competition here is XBTY and blocks, and we can add those to I have XBTY, and because it's leveraged, well, it's selling puts on leveraged Bitcoin, it has not been doing so well, but I'm here for the long run. Anyways, XBTY and blocks, which blocks is not spot Bitcoin, blocks is the Bitcoin related companies and Ethereum, and it's been doing pretty well. At least people have been pretty impressed with it. So if you go to the growth of $10,000, if you had invested in blocks over this period of time from September 2025, you would have the most money if you had just invested in blocks with $8,689, which is still not more than $10,000. However, it's been really brutal on Bitcoin lately. But XBTY, you would have $7,024 versus BITK, which has $7,481. But if you had been in BTCC, which pays, I believe, twice a month, and BITK, well, we can check. I don't have to go through on memory. BTCC, yes, it pays twice a month, the 1st and the 15th. So, and that has a 60% distribution rate. I also went into the advanced settings and I chose to display the distribution rate, and I unchecked the distribution display. So basically, XBTY has been doing kind of bad, but it also pays a 95% distribution rate. Blacks has been doing really good, but it pays a 38% distribution rate. And even though blocks and BITK are different underlyings, they're both in the crypto space. So if BITK is paying 36% and has less total return than blocks, I would rather personally be in blocks, but that is not that's my personal preference and not trying to influence you all in any way. That's just my observation in all of this. And then we can add XBTY and blocks here together as well as. So this is from just mid-November until now, because we really have had a rough time of it. So from mid-November until now, BITK would also still have basically the least amount of total return in this period of time. BITO, you would have $9,713, BTCC, $9,856, BTCI, which is what a lot of people like, you would have $9,751. But XBTY has been doing pretty well comparatively in this time frame. So that would be $9,727.50, and you've had the 90% distribution yield. And then blocks, you would have had the most total return with $10,756. So I think the conclusion that we can have here is that we should diversify our income, or what we have in our portfolio, that way, because XBTY sells puts on a leveraged Bitcoin, so it would do pretty well in an up market, but this has not been an up market. BITO pays a good amount monthly. BTCC pays twice a month. BTCI only pays like a 15% distribution rate, but it has a really good total return because it captures more upside. And then you have BITK, which the philosophy here is that with 0 days to expiration, you don't get the overnight exposure in the market. So if there's a big, and Bitcoin is a 24-hour market, so if there are big moves overnight, you don't want to miss out on that capital appreciation. So BITK would do, at least I'm assuming, it would do well in the situation where Bitcoin suddenly gaps up 50% overnight. BITK would probably come out king in that one specific situation. So we are learning that we don't need to go for the absolute highest yield, but it is interesting, and we also need to make sure that we're properly diversified and that these are sized appropriately to our portfolio as an amount, the 1 to 5%, 1, 5, 10%, whatever you've decided to make this a portion of. Just make sure that it doesn't become too large of your portfolio, so that when Bitcoin does Bitcoin things, we don't wind up having nervous breakdowns or whatever. So anyways, BITK is going to be interesting as we enter into the between halvings. At any rate, we are always going to be debating whether we're in winter or going into, like where is the winter in all this, but it feels like winter to me, or at least autumn. So it'll be interesting to see how all of these perform in the time between halvings. And then it's been my opinion, it has always been my opinion, that now is the time to accumulate Bitcoin. And if you believe in Bitcoin, because next halving I think is going to be very interesting, and if not the next halving, I think Bitcoin is being adopted, so eventually we'll get to where we want to go anyways. But that's it for me for BITK. Are you excited about this? Have you invested in it? Do you think that you will in the future? And to the Tuttle people, they also have MSTK. And my question to you is, are we pronouncing this mystique or mistake? And I would also like to, well, first of all, thank you so much for the 4,340 of you that have decided that I'm entertaining enough to subscribe to. You all are amazing. I appreciate you. And I would love to give a special thanks to the members: Jetta, Omega Werewolf X, Opinion in Mine, BGP Automotive, Patriot Spalding, Bill Bryant, Michael Holiday, Scott Behringer, Leroy Gibbons, Russell O'Mahony, Next Up 4E, Shane O'Mac, Joey, Brian, and M. Curry. You all are amazing, and thank you so much for making your bad financial decisions together with me. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.